Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome back to another Roma Press live stream. I am welcoming you all into this live stream right after Roma win against Lecce. So here it is, guys. We made it. We got it. We got these 3 points. We got another win. We get to extend our streak in the league and we get to move up the Serie A table. So I want to welcome everyone that's joining me at whatever time of day you're doing this. Thank you so much. If you could click the like button and help this live stream get more people involved, that'd be great. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so. And obviously, I want to also thank and give a big shout out to our patrons who are all the lovely crazies. Thank you so much for your support. This is a live stream that I'm doing because John is still under the weather. He's still not feeling well, so I'm here. I'm taking over a bit of the Roma Press hosting duties, so there will be no podcast. There will be this live stream. You are all obviously welcome, as always, to put your questions and comments into the comment section, and I'll make sure to read and catch everybody's username. So guys, again, welcome everybody. Please feel free to ask and write whatever you want, in obviously in terms that do not have any vulgar words. Let's try to keep it civilized. And obviously tonight, at least, we have a reason to be civilized. We have a reason to come together and breathe a deep sigh of relief, because this is a huge win. So yes, we will be talking about Roma's win over Lecce, which, again, guys, saw Artem Dovbyk, a player that for some reason I saw was hugely criticized in the comments to our previous videos. Well, Artem Dovbyk once again comes through for Roma in a match that saw him a bit all over the place. He comes through at a key moment in time and scores what, in my opinion, is a very, very Edin Dzeko-esque goal. So that goal by Dovbyk, the way he spins the defender, the way he looks for that challenge, the way he looks to isolate himself with the defender in front of him, that's it almost made me think of Edin Dzeko against Villarreal. If you guys remember, Edin Dzeko makes Musacchio practically sit down. I'm not sure if it was the second or third goal, but anyway, Dovbyk comes through for Roma, gifts them the 3 points, and Roma will be looking to play against Juve, a Juve team that is led by Igor Tudor. But that comes later, guys. So I want to give a warm welcome to everybody that is going to be joining us tonight. I will be reading off the comments. I will be also checking, obviously, on Twitter, because since this is a post-match reaction, a lot of the stuff is still coming through. So don't mind me if my eyes drift to my phone, as I'm trying to also keep track of everything that's happening in the post-match reaction. It's worth first of all noting, obviously, an important absence awaits us in the match against Juve. Alexis Salmakers will not be there because he has been suspended due to a stupid yellow card that he received for protesting against the linesman. So Alexis Salmakers will not be there against Juve. And, well, yes, someone is already talking about our schedule. I see that we have in the comments a list of basically the criteria that Roma need to fulfill, the requirements that Roma need to fulfill in order to get top four, or rather, what will the final table look like. So someone writes driver right pass left. Okay, as we get closer to the end, a reminder. Thank you so much for this reminder. Bologna owned the tiebreaker over us. We beat Juve. We own the tiebreaker. We draw beat or lose by only a goal versus Lazio, we own the tiebreaker. Fiorentina will forever hold the tiebreaker over us after the disaster at the Franchi. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Win against Milan, and we own the tiebreaker. Draw goes to goal difference. Same with Juve. It is a very, very, very difficult schedule. As you pointed out, Roma, we are coming off an excellent moment. Roma are able to extend their streak. They are only 4 points away from top four. They overcome Lazio in the standings. But make no mistake about it, we have 8 games remaining, and all of these games are super complicated. As you pointed out, we are playing against Juve, we're playing against Fiorentina, we're playing against Milan, we are playing against Hellas Verona even. There is no such thing as an easy match. And tonight was proof. Tonight was proof because I don't remember when was the last time that we got a good result in Lecce. I only remember disappointment in Lecce, time and time again, repeated disappointment. If I'm not mistaken, even with De Rossi, there was disappointment in Lecce. So it's not good. Okay, I'm just going to welcome some people here. We got Richard, Andy, another win, but damn, we played down to Lecce's level. Well, Richard, this is where you do play down to a team's level, because a team like Lecce that is trying to avoid relegation at all costs, I think they haven't won in 5 games or so. This was not going to be easy just because of desperation. You never want to come out from the international break, especially against the team that will do anything to stay up. And as Ranieri wisely pointed out, Roma after an international breaks have been terrible. He mentioned Roma's record in the every game that they've played after an international break, and it's really remarkable how bad it was. So this is, again, also for that, given the context of it, pretty important. Vladimiro, hi Andy. I wish John to get better soon. Thank you, Vladimiro. I thank you on John's behalf, and I also, again, I would like to extend everybody an apology for not releasing a podcast, but I just feel like it doesn't really make sense to do a podcast on my own. So I prefer to keep these live streams going so we can get some nice interaction while John tries to recover. Today, deserved victory, important for more than one reason. Yeah, absolutely. I think. Listen, we cannot say that Roma did not deserve this win. Roma missed so many chances, including the one of the final ones by Shomurodov on Falcone, where Falcone saves. Roma should have had more goals tonight, but this is not the first time that they say that. This is not the first time that Brian Cristante goes into the post-match and says to Sky Sport, yeah, it's normal. We missed 3 to 4 goals. It's normal. It happens. Well, to us, it does happen quite a bit. The problem is that, those are mistakes you pay. And so how many times have we been in this situation where we just go and hit a brick wall, and no matter what we do, exactly as someone pointed out here, Richard, we start to play down to the level of the opponent who is hosting us, and we get intimidated. And also in a situation where you have a lesser side, but a side that is playing with desperation, that's a whole different animal. That's a whole different beast. Great hard win, exactly what we needed after the break, Shebek. Thank you so much for being here, Shebek. With Wrench, Salik, Salmakers out, who will be even on that position? And you also forgot Saud. So exactly, that's a big concern for Roma on the right flank. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if perhaps Ranieri will want to have Sule there. Will he try to put someone out of position? Maybe will he move up Gianluca Mancini as a right back? Who knows? But that's a big concern because Salmakers makes things possible. Even tonight, as Dovbyk scores the goal, Salmakers is involved. Cristante is involved with another one of those Daniele De Rossi-esque passes forward where he just hoofs it without even looking. Some people don't want to admit that, but I am here to remind you all that Brian Cristante did well on that in that moment. So just so let the record show, I praised Brian Cristante. Important win today, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. One game at a time. That's what everybody's stressing. Everybody, there is not a single player or even Ranieri. There's nobody here that is getting too ahead of themselves. This is a schedule that involves a lot of risk. You're going to go up against teams that are more or less fighting for the same objectives as you are. Even starting from Juventus, you're going to play against a team that is trying to make up for lost ground. So everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's in the same boat, and the problem is that everybody wants the same thing, which is top four, which is going to be huge for Roma. And like Brian Cristante said, to even be in this position, after that terrible start to the season, like Brian Cristante said, if someone in November had told me, listen, and by the end of March you will still be in a position to land top four, he would not have believed them. So if the players think that way, then the fans were completely right in feeling exasperated in October, November, when that terrible spell with Juric was. One of my favorite things tonight was Hummels re-entering the starting lineup, having a near flawless performance. Adding him back into the rotation will go a long way for the next 8 games. Absolutely right. Though you're right in the sense that it's so important to have someone of Hummels's not only quality but also status. Like this is a veteran whose voice matters. Whether he speaks Italian or not, I don't care. I do believe he knows some words in the locker room, especially. But even to just have him there, like an important presence, and to have him be in a good state of mind and play an important role, because it's one thing when you have an important player but who's kept on the bench all the time. No, you need that someone to also have a voice on the pitch. And as you say, today Hummels was one of the big positives in the match. It's important for him to to not, there's been reports from Sky Sport in Germany that say Roma will not be extending Hummels' contract at 36 years of age. They do not think that, and given the season that he's had with so many ups and downs, they do not think that he's the way to go. And that's all right. A club is completely correct in making these assessments. But with 8 games to go and such important ones, it's crucial not to lose anybody. It's crucial to end this year on a good note. It's crucial to have everybody engaged until the last match of the season. And with Hummels, I honestly was afraid that after the game against the Athletic Bilbao, he would be lost out at sea, floating about helpless, because that mistake, the fact that after 11 minutes, he had to walk into a locker room and then sit there by himself and wait, knowing that he's put his position in a compromised situation, that's rough on anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie, if you're just starting out, or if you're like Hummels, you've played everything, you've played every single most important game in your life. That game, the one you mess up, becomes automatically the most important match of your life. And I was afraid after the interviews that he gave, and including one on his own podcast where he said that the match against the mistake against Athletic Bilbao was just awful, and it felt awful to be the guy who compromised Roma's Europa League campaign. I was afraid that he was going to be kept on the bench for a few weeks now, and so I was pleasantly surprised to see him back on the pitch and back in good form. So Vladimiro, for example, agrees and says, I totally agree about the importance of having Hummels for this final rush. Yeah, because we have Victor Nelson, but it's one thing to have Victor Nelson. It's another thing to have Mats Hummels on the pitch. Let me just have a sip, guys. If we play like this for 4 out of 8 games, we won't qualify. And what's your reaction to the Allegri news? Well, the Allegri news, guys. I think the Allegri news, which was published by La Stampa yesterday, today, rather famous journalist in the Roma environment, Augusto Ciardi, said that Roma and Allegri are very close. What do I think about it? I don't know what I think about it, because every day I'm led to believe something else. Every day I'm sitting here transcribing and generating these news that I see on a basically hourly basis change. And I today, even in the morning, I saw Sarri, I saw Ernesto Valverde, I saw Stefano Pioli being mentioned, I saw Vincenzo Italiano being mentioned. So I'm getting a headache just like you guys. It's not like I'm immune to this. So I don't really have a reaction to the Allegri news, because I think there's just been so much talk. So much. Even Ranieri now, just himself, he said it. Someone, let me hear. So he was talking to Dazen, and he was asked about the next coach, and he said, I'm not going to tell you anything. I just want him to be younger than me. So, that's the only criteria that Ranieri is willing to divulge. I'm gonna trust him. I'm not gonna put pressure on the guy. I believe, as I said in my previous live stream, Roma, Ghisolfi, Ranieri, Friedkin, I'm pretty sure they've narrowed down the list to just a select number of names. And as I said, also, it's going to be very important for the new coach to monitor Roma's progress in these final weeks. So I believe that a lot will depend on how Roma perform in the next 4 or 5 games or so. I want to give credit to Cristante, solid in defense, and his crossballs lately have been magnificent, says Vincent. It's always welcome to receive praise for Brian Cristante in this chat. So I encourage everybody to praise Cristante, to praise Shomurodov. Everybody's got a favorite one. Cristante, I think, it's weird because we were sitting here in January, and he had been missing for about a month and a half after that injury against Atalanta, and all fingers were pointing towards the exit door for him. Cristante was on the final days of the transfer window. He was on his way out of Roma, so his agent was trying to move him. We are looking at the concrete possibility of seeing Cristante leave Roma after 7 years. So it's been a long time coming, and yet Ranieri, in his miracle work, was also able to revitalize this guy, because it seemed like everybody was getting used to not having him on the pitch. When he came back, everybody was like, God, no, oh God, he's gonna ruin the party. He's been fine. He's been absolutely fine. So good on Cristante. Whatever the future may hold for him, good for him. Cheers to Cristante. Sule was pretty positive again today. How do you feel about his growth so far this year? It's a good question, because we have to start with the expectations for Sule, which were through the roof. The expectations for Sule, with the kind of welcome he received, in my opinion, were almost as bad as the expectations for Patrick Schick. Really, that's what we're talking about. That the kind of pressure of, we paid almost 30 million euros for this kid who scored 11 goals last season, and all of a sudden he's got the not tall but absolutely humongous task of replacing Paulo Dybala, because that was the plan all along. And then so that was the development, that was the initial trajectory that Matias Sule was supposed to undergo, and then Paulo Dybala decides to stay. Matias Sule's development takes a step back. Roma do not focus on Sule. he gets lost in the mix. Even with Ranieri in the first weeks, he's nowhere to be found because he's not considered ready. I do think that this was expected. I think this is a healthy trajectory. I mean, what he's got now, this is what it is supposed to look like. It's not easy. It's never easy. Tommaso Baldanzi, this is also Tommaso Baldanzi, a guy who when he came here for 15 million euros a year ago, well, the expectations weren't as big as for Sule, but there was this belief that, he is the heir to Paulo Dybala. And I think the pressure was also too big for him. It took him time to interpret what Roma want from him. It took him time to understand what Claudio Ranieri wants from him. So this is a natural path that both of them have to take. Doesn't mean that they're going to be excellent by the end of the season. Doesn't mean that they are going to do an excellent job of replacing Paulo Dybala, because I think it's very hard to replace Paulo Dybala, the kind of Paulo Dybala that we saw this season, especially. So I do believe Sule is fine. He's going to be fine. Ranieri did very well in managing his minutes and preserving him at the beginning, and then allowing him to steadily settle into the team. I think so we enter this final stretch with Dybala out, as both Sule and Baldanzi are putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Juventus game seems to be the most important match of the season, because we are the only good team facing Juve in their last 8 games, and they seem favored to clinch top 4. Could be. Although, I mean, every game really right now, today is so important. Today is so huge. This is a result, again, against Lecce, you don't see this kind of result. This grind out win with a goal by Artem Dovbyk, who takes it upon himself. People were joking about Dovbyk's ability to squander chances, his inability to read the how the team moves on the pitch, his inability to be at the right time and the right place. Tonight, exceptionally, he took it upon himself. That goal was scored by a guy who was hungry for the moment. I don't know how many points Dovbyk has gifted us, but I'm pretty sure if you're going to go up the record that Roma have for this season, and you look up every single 1-0 win that Roma collected this year, I'm pretty sure that most of those goals are scored by Dovbyk. Excuse me. Vladimiro, I totally agree about the important. Yeah, Jerry, Pellegrini is not playing well. Play Shomurodov and Dovbyk. Let's see. I think Pellegrini, it's tough, and I think Dovbyk and Shomurodov together don't go too well to start a game with. Shomurodov is our super sub. He's the Leandro Barbosa to our Warriors, the Sean Livingston. Sorry guys for the unnecessary NBA references. Completely agree about Sule. He seems to have understood Ranieri's request to play with the team. Tonight, Sule made quicker decisions, circulated the ball with fewer touches, promising. Yeah. I do think that Ranieri has mentioned a few times that there are sometimes players who play for themselves. I do believe that he also had Sule in mind a few of those times. And yes, he is... He's learning what Baldanzi learned. Baldanzi also came from a reality where he was the star of Empoli. He came to Roma. He was no longer the star. He was no longer being asked the things that he was being asked at Empoli. So he had to learn how to be useful to the team, not how to be the brightest star, but how to be useful. And Sule, just like him, coming from a reality where he was the star of Frosinone, he's not going to be the star of Roma right now. Right now, who knows in the long term? Vladimiro, it could be even that La Stampa of Turin is trying to put an element of distraction now that we're about to face Juventus. Maybe I'm being malicious, but the timing of Allegri's news is suspicious. I think here everybody's talking, regardless if it's a newspaper in Turin, if it's a newspaper in Milan, if it's a newspaper in Rome. Everybody's talking because this thing with the coach and the CEO, which again is going on behind the scenes, I don't know. But that's the thing, nobody knows. And that pisses off a lot of people who for many years have always prided themselves in giving the news firsthand. And right now it's not working. Since the Friedkins took over, it never worked. It's not working right now. Nobody knows anything. So these names are being thrown around. You also have to imagine someone like Allegri. I'm not saying that he's getting worried, but I think that he is looking not particularly pleased with the fact that not many calls are coming onto his phone. Like he's not receiving a lot of requests. This is a man who has only received offers recently from Saudi Arabia. He is not too popular at the moment, Ranieri and Allegri, and well, I mean, it's been a year since he's coached Juve. It would be pretty bad for him to stay without a team for this coming season. So you never know, but managers, and someone like Allegri has a lot of friends and is friendly with a lot of former players, a lot of agents, a lot of journalists. So sometimes these things do get spoken into existence. Let's see. I wouldn't start thinking about mind games because media are in Italy, especially in sports media, it's just it's a mess. So no matter how you slice it. Let's see. Yo, Andy, 1-0. That feels like a cup final one after clumsy finishes. I hope Artem is okay though. Mazin, thank you so much for being here. The Dovbyk, well, let's see. He had a calf problem, so let's see what happens next with him. It would be pretty scary to lose him against Juve with Salmakers already out. I wanted to also touch upon Jerry. Jerry, you said, yeah, as we're recording, Di Marzio throws it around that Roma will try to get Stefano Pioli. So Roma, according to Gianluca Di Marzio of Sky Sport, one of the names that Roma are looking at right now is Stefano Pioli. What Gianluca Di Marzio just said is Roma will make an attempt for Pioli. They wanted him already before Juric arrived. They wanted to meet with him before he signed with Al Nassr. They could try. Especially because Ranieri has a lot of admiration for Pioli. So this is Di Marzio's latest report. I don't really know what to make of it, and I don't really care. I don't want to focus my energy on that right now, just because there's a lot of could and could not and this and that, and it's at the end of the day, no matter how you read it, that's speculation. Like no matter, they could think of him. That's the one thing I love in Italian sports media. There is a lot of what he could. Wow, these guys are, maybe they will think at some point down the road, they will think, oh God, last year, remember with Federico Chiesa, oh, they may think about Federico Chiesa at the end of the transfer window, or with Davide Frattesi now today, earlier this morning, it was the same thing. Roma could become interested again in Frattesi. So let's see. Let's not put too much weight on that. If we aren't able to keep Sviar this season, I would really like to see Falcone brought in. The guy is really class and has Roma roots. Well, Falcone was linked repeatedly with Roma before Sviar, obviously, stole Rui Patricio's place. Falcone was rumored as Roma's replacement of Patricio when Patricio's downfall was clear to everyone and for everyone to see. So, but a lot will depend on where Roma end up. I really do think that Sviar and his contract demands are absolutely deserved. What he's asking for, Roma should fulfill. I do also understand the club's position that they cannot give too many guarantees right now because they don't know where they will end up in Serie A, and it makes a huge difference if you end up fifth or fourth. And also for the ambitions. I mean, the player, even Sviar himself, I don't know if he's going to be so eager to sign a new contract, even at the with the fees and the wages that he's asking for. I don't know if he's going to be so eager to sign before seeing where the team actually ends up. So we've seen a lot of reports in recent weeks stating that Roma will be facing stricter financial fair play conditions, that Roma will have to, well, probably work as hard as they did with Thiago Pinto at the helm. Remember when he was trying to move all these pieces, cut the wages? Well, Roma will have to continue to do that. And obviously, there was also two names listed as players who could leave and Roma could monetize off of. That's Miles VR and that's Evan Dika, both amazing players for Roma, both players who have attracted a lot of attention from all over Europe. So much depends on where Roma end up. This is the big unknown. And so that's why it's, for me, it's so far-fetched to even talk about this stuff with Pioli, Allegri, Italiano, because those guys themselves, someone like Pioli, yeah, he's in Saudi, but it will make a difference to him if Roma play Champions League, if they have much more money coming in, if they have more capabilities on the market, and if not, and so let's see. These players get paid too much for nonsense on the pitch. Okay. Salmakers cannot play against Juve. I am really worried about next week. We all are, because this is going to be tough. So Roma are looking to play against a Juventus side that I'm not going to say was rejuvenated by Igor Tudor's arrival. I think the game against Genoa was quite bad. They win 1-0 as well, thanks to Yildiz. But it is an important result for them as well. It is important because they win away from home. They win in a moment where they had to react. It's the classic match that they win because they just have to. There is no other way. They have a new coach. Thiago Motta was sacked with 9 games to go. A new coach, Igor Tudor, until the end of the season. They have to prove themselves right away, and they do. Now comes the hard part for both teams. Because Roma have to keep this streak going. No matter what you think, they have to find a way. They have to find a way to keep it going. Because as soon as you drop points, that not only slashes your morale in half, it also gives a huge boost to basically every single competitor. So Juve will be a problem. But I do believe that Roma, going into this match at the Olimpico, with, again, let's remember, 1 game per week, guys. So we're taking it easy, not only us from Roma Press, but also the team. The team can take it easy. The team can actually reflect on who deserves to play, on who is in the best shape. Nobody is forced to play just for the sake of playing. So Leandro Paredes, for example, today, he can take it easy, rest, relax after playing for Argentina. And there is no big pressure, no significant pressure, not the kind of pressure that we had in previous years where it was, oh my God, if Chris Smalling is not playing every 2 days, then we're lost. That's not the case this year. So thank God. And hopefully that means something going into these next 8 games, that we can actually recharge. So many times we use the word recharge, but a week's time is the right amount to recharge, not lose focus. You have one mission. That's the thing. Instead of going, should I focus on Europa League? Should I focus on Coppa Italia? What should I do? Injuries and whatnot? No. Here we go. But as you pointed out, we don't have Soundmakers, and Artem Dovbyk, I assume, will be doubtful. They'll have to check his calf. those are two important players that well, Salmakers for sure will be out, and Dovbyk will see. So the circumstances leading up to this game are not favorable, but they never are. At this point of the season, this is peanuts. I mean, we saw both Dybala and Chris Smalling, and who was it also? Diego Llorente go down in the final weeks of. Last season or the season before that, and you go and you're like, okay, fine, great. So who do I use for the most important games of the season? um I'm worried about the advanced midfielders, no creativity or threat whatsoever. Cesar, I think it always depends on the kind of opponent you meet. I do think that Baldanzi has shown good things there. Baldanzi has been also playing as a false nine with Ranieri. He's been. I'm not going to use the word. I'm not gonna say jolly. Oops, I said it. But Baldanzi has been learning to be a bit more flexible on the pitch. I like that. I think if we're talking about that, if we're talking about advanced midfielders, I think you gotta trust someone like Baldanzi more. But I do like what I'm seeing from him. I do like what I see from Ranieri trying to get him more involved in all aspects of the match. Um, are you still planning to upload Roma Press videos every Monday and Thursday? I really enjoy listening to your podcast on my way to work every morning. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. Again, I want to reiterate, I'm here and I'm doing this right now because John is unavailable. He's a bit under the weather. It's not feeling well, so I'm taking over this with the hope that he can be back soon. As long as John is out, there will be no podcast episodes just because I think it doesn't make sense to do a podcast on my own. I prefer then to do these live streams where I can interact with you guys. And so that makes it more fun. That's my belief. And I hope that you guys can understand this. And I thank you. I apologize again on behalf of John. And I am sorry, but it's sometimes these circumstances, it's quite unpredictable, so we try to help each other out, John and I. And right now I thought to myself, well, let's have some interaction with the fans. I know that a lot of people enjoy these live streams, so for the time being, guys, please bear with me. It's going to be live streams. We will notify you as soon as we're back to recording the usual podcast. I'm sure that if John is back, we can do this coming Friday. So we'll see. There is something that shows what we've been through when Chris Smalling still was in the club last season. Felt like felt like he left 5 years ago. Well, Vincent, I think that's a huge testament to the kind of overhaul that Roma did this past summer, and also the kind of direction that Roma took this past summer. So that's, I wouldn't think of it in a negative way, that, oh my god, the memory gets blurred because every season has been more or less the same. But I do think that this past summer has been quite eventful and also meaningful in terms of change of direction. Diego Llorente also seems like a lifetime ago, and yet he left last summer. Hope John feels well soon. Thank you so much. I'm also suffering from this cold flu. Yeah, it's this is the time. There's always something going around, and the schools and kindergartens, and forget about it. So I'm thank God I don't have kids, and I don't have in the sense that I don't have the risk of catching anything. I'm good. So as long as I'm good, we can keep doing this. I wanted to also exactly talk about the importance of Dovbyk. I want to just once again mention that this is a guy who I've seen a lot of talk about him. I've seen people say Lukaku was more impressive than him. You know what? I don't know. I was actually quite happy about Lukaku last season, but this Dovbyk, there is something about him. I don't know, guys. I see a lot of people consider him sort of a foreign element in the team, and it's true. Sometimes it feels like he is a bit slow in reading what the team wants from him. But I don't know. Today's goal made me really rethink of Edin Dzeko. Of Edin Dzeko in his second season when he was hungry to prove himself. I really found that goal that he scored today, Dovbyk, where he takes the ball that Cristante delivers to him. He takes it upon himself and he goes at the defender with the purpose of scoring, not of creating trouble and maybe passing the ball. No, he goes there because he wants to score. And that's something that I saw in Edin Dzeko time and time again in that second season where he scores, 29 goals in Serie A, wins top striker of the league, scores an unbelievable amount of goals in Europa League as well. So I don't know. There is something that makes me think that Dovbyk is really the answer in the long term. I know a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, offload him in the summer. Get yourself someone who is quicker, who is this, who is that." But I don't think we've seen it all from Dovbyk. Perhaps he doesn't have lights out numbers, but the ones he scores are pretty damn important. And when he does score, he scores with a kind of emphasis that I really don't think we've seen since Edin Dzeko. No Tammy Abraham, no Borja Mayoral, Romelu Lukaku. None of them had this kind of flair, this kind of initiative that Dovbyk has displayed. So I like that. I want him to keep going like this. And I want to once again just highlight how amazing Ranieri has been. So, because even Evan Dika right now says, we play for him. Now think about that, because go back in time, October, November, how many times have we heard the players say that about Juric? How many times have we heard the team actually go out and say, the reason why we are playing the way we are playing is because we want to do well for the coach? So that's a very important sentiment that Ndika just said. I like that very much. Andy, is it fair to say Daniele De Rossi was unlucky to be sacked? No personal feelings, but I think he has a great potential to become a great coach. But Lina got in the way and ended up being sacked. But we said it a number of times. I think I don't know what happened this past summer, but something didn't gel. Daniele De Rossi was involved in every single aspect of Roma's transfer window, and yet when the season started, it felt like the team had no idea what to do. It felt like there had been no preseason. It felt like the manager was not really in charge, which left me completely puzzled. Was he unlucky? Sure. I mean, obviously, if you get sacked 4 match days into the new season, and especially after having signed a 3-year contract, you are unlucky in the sense that, okay, you may have done bad, you may have made your mistakes, but it's out of your hands, and says that someone else, a higher power, takes the decision and says, okay, you're out. So obviously, Daniele De Rossi did not get a fair shot at this season. Vincent says Dovbyk's stats aren't terrible. 16 goals is actually okay. Yeah, no, absolutely, Vincent. I'm all there for it. And if you look at Romelu Lukaku's statistics for last season, it's not like he did much better. But I do find Dovbyk's goals to have that much more weight, that much more impact. So I guess I'm just surprised by the fact that for these past few weeks, the team has been doing fairly well, except for obviously crashing out of the Europa League, and the fans seem to have turned against Dovbyk, who even in games where he's just sort of there, he leaves his mark, like tonight. So, guys, it's close to midnight over here, where I'm recording this from. I don't know what time it is where you guys are from, but I just wanted to perhaps start to wrap this up, and just say that this, no matter how you look at it, was a huge result for Roma. Very encouraging to come out of this international break and win in this convincing fashion, in the sense that Roma created a lot of opportunities, sure, against a lesser opponent, but a lesser opponent who was playing with a purpose. And that cannot be underestimated, guys. So I think we will leave it here. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, subscribe now, give this video a like. If you would like to join our Patreon, please do so by going to patreon.com/Roma Press. We appreciate all the help. Again, I want to apologize also on John's behalf that we will not be recording the podcast. Instead, for those of you who will choose to replay this live stream later, this is kind of the alternative to it. So thank you for bearing with us. Just a little patience. We'll figure this out. And in the meantime, guys, I'll keep you updated. And as always, Forza Roma. Thank you guys so much. Ciao.